Hello Internet! In this video we are going to be taking a look at unit testing, and we are specifically going to be looking at how to write mocks in our unit tests. If you're following along with our platformer series, I have been writing unit tests for that and trying to figure out a good way to mock things. Well, we had previously been mocking things manually, entirely manually, and effectively just explicitly defining a new class that overrides something. And that is really tedious and takes a long time. And you end up with these massive classes, and if you ever need to rename something, everything breaks. I have been looking at a package called mock, M-O-Q, and it is a mocking framework for .NET, and it lets you create those mocks. So we're going to be playing with that. I should point out, it's been, I think I've used mock like years ago. So this is not going to be me sharing my knowledge on mock. This is going to be me trying to figure out what the heck this thing does and falling into all of the traps that exist. So if you came here to like learn it from me, maybe want to look somewhere else. But if you came here to see me learn this framework, then hi. So the first thing we need to do, I should point out, here are the commands I've run so far. .NET new and unit, and that's it. So we just have this, and I've also created this set of tasks. So we have a task to build and a task to test. That's the only difference here, and I'm not going to be using them anyway. They're just there because I was experimenting. So what we need to do first is get a new mock package installed in this project, because it doesn't exist right now. At least I don't think it exists. If I do using mock, yeah, that's going to break. And we don't want that to break because that's how we include our package. So I have NuGet pulled up, and then NuGet provides you with the command to install things. NuGet, if you're not familiar, is .NET's package manager. If you've used NPM, same thing. If you've used apt, it's the same thing as that. This is just for .NET. So it's going to have all sorts of .NET packages that you can just pull and include in your project, and it's going to give you some nice things, so you don't need to be uploading DLLs into your source repo and having everybody sync DLLs. You can just pull them from the repository. So that's sort of the nice thing there. So what we're going to do is do .NET add, and we're going to add a package called mock, and that should be all we need. They're going to give you a specific version, but since I'm just tinkering with this, I don't really care. So we're not going to do that. We're going to get an error instead. Package mock is compatible with the framework. Value cannot be null. Okay. I'm confused, but this is weird. What's going on here? Is our project .NET Core app? Let's do 3.0. That might work. Let's try that. Nope, really didn't like that. Oh. Do I not have a .NET Core version that supports 3.0? I'll be right back. I need to... Apparently I'm way out of date. So that's a thing. I reran the command now, and it works. So good thing to know. We need .NET Core 3.0, which might have been... So I'd been working on this in Unity. This is for a Unity project we're doing because I need mocks in that. And it wasn't working. It wasn't able to import the package. I wonder if that was part of the problem. It was just completely saying it doesn't exist. I was kind of just going down a different path and assuming it was something else, but maybe that was part of the problem because I guess my installation was out of date. I guess that makes some sense. But anyway, we're good. So you can see. You can't see because it's not there. You should be able to see. What the heck? Mock be added right there. And oh, error. It's still broken. All right. But things have changed. We need to give it a specific version. Okay. Let's do that then. This is going great. So 13.1. Does that work? No. path cannot be null. I'm so confused with what these errors are giving me. And I'm not adding package reference for package mock, restoring packages, cycle detected. Where? So, okay, does it exist or doesn't it exist? Because bin and object don't need to exist. Unless I'm very mistaken, I can delete these. And we should just see it in here. And I don't. So that doesn't seem right. Unless, oh, I know what's going on. The name of my project is mock. There we go. Let's try this. Mock testing. There. That probably fixes this error. Yeah, done. Okay, good. And everything should be good. I should be able to do dotnet build and get this to build. Perfect. Okay, everything's working. I'm just really bad at what I'm doing. So, can't name things the same thing. We're on Windows, so even though mock has a capital M and my project had a lowercase m, they conflicted because those don't matter on Windows. So yeah, don't name your project this thing after something you're going to be importing. I knew that. I just wasn't thinking about it. Anyway, that's done. So, what does mock let us do? It lets us, well, one, import this, but also create mocks. And so we have a whole bunch of examples here on their GitHub. And basically the idea is you give it a type that you want to mock out, and then you present it the signature of what it's going to be expecting, and then return something new. I'm not super familiar with how to use this, so we're just going to touch the surface. The goal is not to really dive too deep into this, just to kind of poke at it and see how things go. And if they go well, then we're great. And if they don't, then bad things are going to happen. So what I want to use this for is to mock out a class. And so I want to be able to take some custom object, I guess. That's got to be a class. And that's going to have some sort of public float called forward, I guess. And that's going to return 10. None of this matters because the idea is that we can replace this with something else. And so what I want to be able to do is replace forward with some value other than 10. And so we have two things in this NUnit test. I'm still using an NUnit project. So there's the setup, which is going to be run first, and then our tests. We don't need a setup, so that's just going to go away. Doesn't need to be there. Assert.pass is just going to pass the test. We want to say r equal, or let's say r not equal, and the expected value is 10. And then the result is going to be this custom object. So we want to create a mock of that custom object. And I lost it. There it is. All right. I'm just going to move that over there, and we can make things up from there. So they have a quick start. I could follow that, or I could do, I believe it is a mock of something. We need to reload our stuff because it doesn't understand that I imported a new library. How can I do that? Refresh? Maybe? Nope. All right, I will be right back. We're gonna restart Visual Studio Code and see if that helps. Because right now we have no help for the functions of this. I think I know what I need to do because I can just pull it from there. But this is going to prevent us from doing useful things because I can't like inspect this because it doesn't know what it is. And so we want to fix that because otherwise doesn't. Well, actually, if I do code -n and give it a period, that is, say, launch code with a new editor window in the current directory, which is the one we're already in. So theoretically, I just told it to run code here, but it didn't work because we already have one open, and apparently you can't run 2 instances at the same place. So this is going to go away, and we're going to do same thing. I'm already in that directory in this one. This is how I created the project originally. But we go here, and does it know what this is now? Yes. Okay, there we go. So that fixed it. I don't know why that's still a problem. It's been like that for a while. But let's see. So it looks like we can do mock of some custom object like this. And we want to do that. There's some setup script there. I don't know what that's for. And we want to store this in our mock. So var mock equals that. And so just because this is a testing project, if I do .NET test, we should hopefully get a failure here. Or not. Why did it work? That wasn't supposed to work. Oh, duh. That's why it worked. Because I was comparing 2 random objects. This should fail. Yes. All right. Expected not equal to 10, but was 10. All right, cool. So that means we're getting 10 out of here. If I change this to 9, we should get 9. But cool. There we go. So that passes if it becomes something else, but it fails when it's set to this. And so what we want to do now is do mock. And we want to replace that with something else. How do we do that? So I think it's done inside of here, unfortunately. But maybe we can do something else? No, that's not going to work. So what this does, we can go here. But this is going to create a mock of the indicated type, which is going to be type T. And it's going to have all of the normal stuff. What we can do, though... What is that? The predicate with the specification of how the mocked object should behave? Okay, why is it a predicate? Interesting. Again, not very familiar with this, but what happens if I do this? Equals 9. Does it even let me do this? Mock is a custom object. I know that, but okay. So in previous frameworks, what I would be able to do is assign this. I'm most familiar with Spock, which is a Java framework for this, and it's written in Gradle? Groovy. It's written in Groovy. And that lets you do very interesting things as far as objects are, because Groovy is a weird addition to Java. And I'm used to doing weird patterns because of that. So how can we do this? We'll bring this over again just to look at this, because they have some examples here. And so they do mock of that, and then they give the object and then what is called, and then I don't know why it's saying equal to true. I think that's actually doing the test, so they can do verifications there. I'm not really trying to mock this, though. I'm kind of trying to fake it and provide additional values for there. And so how can we do this? Verify that download exists. Okay. That's saying it's expecting it to return true, things like that. I want to actually not have any of this happen. So those examples are operating at like a level higher. And so what I mean by that is they would be doing something like The reason they're expecting a predicate, rather, is because they're expecting you to be able to go custom objects. When you call forward, it's equal to 10 or something like that. Like, do something like that. And then you do mock, capital M, dot verify, and you would verify the mock like that. Except you can't do that for some reason. Why not? Okay, this is weird. So there's two types. This is giving us a custom implementation of our own type, I believe, that can validate some stuff. So invoking the download exists gets the Boolean out of it. Equal to true. Okay. Right? That makes sense. Mock.get. Okay. Not sure that's what we want. I think we want this setup instead. And so to do that, yeah, let's try this. So I believe what this is saying is we can create a mock, which is some custom type, and then we can set up specific functions that when given specific values return specific things. And so in this case, we can, I don't know how you do this for properties. This is for methods. So we want to mock a property. So we want to do setup that, and we want to say return something specific. So we'll just slide that over there and not do this. So we'll do a new mock of custom game object like that. Get rid of that. And then we can do something like mock.setup, and we want to give our current object, so our object, and we want the object.forward property, that's what we're going to be setting, and we want it to return 5. And so we can actually expect this now to say r equal to 5. So we're expecting that to have overridden the value of forward when we call the mock.forward. I don't know how to call it though, but I think that's here. So we can pull this over here. And so the way you do that is right here, mock.object, and that will pull out the actual object of the thing. So that will get us that object that we had actually created previously. So mock.object is going to be our custom object. And so we have our obj there, and we just can do object.forward is equal to 5. And that should hopefully allow us to pull that out and actually replace it with something. So if we run this now, we get an exception. Great. Unsupported expression. Okay, that's concerning. Oh, because we're not supposed to do this. This is for setting up something else. That's for setting up methods. We want to set up a property. Property spelled with a T, preferably. And it doesn't use name. It just has the other value on the other side. And so we just do this. There we go. And so this should allow us to mock out that forward property and hopefully set 5 there. And then we should get 5 back in our test, or we'll get another exception. Forward does not have a setter. Right. But do we need it to mock out? So that could be annoying. If we were required to add setters for our things, part of my goal with doing this was that we could avoid adding setters. Let's go back to setup. Why doesn't it like this? So we do o.forward. Ignore the questionable things. Returns, we're just going to say 5.0f. So that will force it to be a float, which hopefully will cause it to match this type. I don't know. That shouldn't have been the problem, but And now we're back to this exception. May not be used in setup verification expressions. So this has to be virtual, I believe, because it's saying it's non-overridable. So we need to mark it as overridable in some way. And I believe by marking it as virtual, that should satisfy that. Because otherwise, I don't think it, yeah. Otherwise, it wouldn't have the permission to be able to override that. And so even if we derive from it, it isn't possible to replace that. You might be able to get away with some crazy thing, but this is marking it and saying that it's expected that the value of this can be overridden. And so that's exactly what we're doing. So now that that's done, we've been able to mock out our property. So this is how you do that. And we could shorten this down to like object.object, which doesn't look as nice. Or rather mock.object.forward to pull this out. And so now we have these 3 lines. That's kind of a handy way to replace an object, because previously, if we wanted to do that, we would have had to have gone here, done this, custom object mock, and that extends the custom object, and we want forward to be 5. That's what we would have had to have done previously. The advantage of doing this by adding these mock objects is we now have our entire test in line in a procedural way. So what we're saying is we're going to create a new mock. We're going to create a new object of type custom object. We're going to assign the forward property to have a value of 5. And then we're going to assert that the value of that is 5. This is just a pure test, like it's just an example, and so it may not come across as easily here, but being able to read your test from the top down without having to like jump all over your code and try to figure out what's actually happening is really easy, or at least makes it a little bit nicer for actually understanding what your test is doing, because you don't have to go digging for it. So that is that. Sometimes you'll see people break it down into like a given win, I guess, and then expect or something something along these lines. The exact like verbiage may change, but you kind of you're given a set of properties, a state, an initial state. When something happens, you're expecting some new value, and so being able to kind of just write a test like that makes things a lot easier. Cool. Let's replace a function. Let's see how this works. So we have that's our forward function, public virtual string. And let's do get name. And this is going to be we'll just do get name for now. Let's do first and last, actually. Or just first. Sorry, I'm thinking about a few different things that I kind of want to run through, and I'm not sure how to get that in here. But we're gonna do return first plus world of 0, because why not? And so this is just going to take your first name and apply it to and append world of 0 to the end of it. And so what we want to be able to do is expect specific first things and return something different if you give it a specific first name. And so the useful thing there is you can actually expect very specific inputs and react to those inputs differently. That's sort of what I'm hoping to get to. So we're going to create a new test, public void test2. I'm not naming those anything useful because we're just testing things. So we'll just do the testing thing. So var mock, we'll do the same thing to create the mock. So we still need a custom object. So given this custom object, when, I guess, mock.setup of I'm gonna write this without looking at that, and we'll see how this goes. I expect poorly, but we're gonna do get name, and I am going to expect foo. If when given the name foo, it's going to do something. Returns. Not sure. Returns hello world. So when we invoke foo, we are no longer going to get back foo world of 0. We're going to get back hello world instead. And that should hopefully allow us to do that. And so we want to write 2 tests here, or we want to do 2 things. First, we want to assert r equal bar, not that, bar world of 0, like that. And that's going to be equal to our mock.object.getName of bar. And so that's going to test if this naming thing works. If we are able to give it a name and not have it override things, then this should be fine. So that should still return correctly. But if we do this, we should be able to do hello world here and swap that out. So there's a few reasons this might be useful. I'm not sure what the wildcard things might be. There's probably a way to say this value doesn't matter. That's the next step. But for now, actually being able to expect specific things and handle those specific ways could be useful, because maybe you want to mock things slightly differently for different inputs. Maybe you're calling some database twice, for example, and you want to return a different value for each of those invocations. You can do it this way. And so that might be useful. Let's see if this actually passes. No, we got nothing. Okay, that actually makes some sense, because we created this mock, and so mocks are going to be blank by default usually, so they have no behavior. And so because we haven't given it behavior, it doesn't know what to do, and it's just going to return null. That's good to know. Different frameworks will call them different things. Mocks, fakes, and spies are typically like some of the things people will call them, and mocks are typically like the dumbest of them, which makes them probably the best to use, but also they have more restrictions, which leads to this. So can we do something like spy? New spy? Is that a thing? Or stub? Var stub equals new stub, or spy, or fake. Okay, none of those exist. So never mind. That's not going to be a thing. I guess because this doesn't exist, we'll just say it's equal to null. That should cause this to pass at least. I will have to figure out what the other options are here, because I imagine they exist. I just don't know what they are. So maybe there's mocks. Okay, I don't know how to do that. That's some link thing. New mock. There's probably an easier way to do this, like going to mock dot something, capture all of that, match mock range. All right. I don't see anything spy fake related, so we're just gonna pretend like they don't exist. And I will probably do something different for that. We'll find more about that later. But this, I guess, gives us a way to provide override functions and do things like that. And I think that's really, I guess the only other thing we want is like a wildcard. So let's make a test 3 that's gonna do the same thing. So the only difference between test 2 and test 3 is instead of only working with foo, I want this to function for any invocation of getName. So anytime you call getName, it should do something. It should react with hello world. So we should get hello world in both of these cases. So we can just run this. This isn't going to pass, obviously, because we just overrode that. But now we can pull this over here and try to figure out how to do wildcards, because I have no idea how to do that. Only matches if the reference return value. Can I just... So it supports all these. What they're trying to show is like it supports references and outputs, access invocation arguments when returning a value. So you can access those values that are passed in if you want to work with them. Okay, so it looks like the way you do it is with this dot any string. So we should be able to say if it is any string. String, let's do that. There we go. And so this is saying, assuming this is any string, we're good. I think that should pass. But we will see. So my guess for how that works is they have some custom thing that extends a string. You can see this is going to return a string type, but I am guessing it has an overridden comparator that is actually going to compare against any type of string and just say true. So as long as it's of type string, we're going to get back true. And so now this passes. And just to validate, if I remove the actual thing so it would no longer match, those both fail because we're getting hello world back because it's matching any string. And this gives us a syntax error because it's using that generic string type and creating like a fake string for us that matches any string. And so even if we give it like something that doesn't derive from it, our function is no longer valid because it's expecting a string. So this actually gives us a syntax error and won't even compile. So if I try to test this, it's just going to say no. So that's actually pretty handy. It's going to be hard to remember it, but that's fine. I wonder if you could use... So C#7 introduced this underscore, which is used in like matching cases. So you'd use it in like a switch. So switch of type 5, I guess. And then you do like a case of this. This isn't valid in the slightest. But you would do something like this and do console dot right line or something. Int I equals 0, sure. And then break. And so you would write something like this. And this is a I don't know what it's called. But it's effectively a wildcard. And so you can use it when you're matching tuples. So like if we want to match say 5 and foo, you can match something that says match all 5s and any string. So if you're accepting 2 values and you're in your switch statement, you wouldn't effectively not care about the second one. It'd be interesting if you could put that in functions and use that way, but you can't. So we're not going to. But yeah. Anyway, that's just a thought. I don't think that's even like syntactically a thing you could do. It's just thoughts. Anyway, I think this is about as far as I need to go for this. It's just kind of like really quick, taking a look at this framework and figuring out how to use it and figuring out what are there kinks. Ran into a few. Don't know how to do how to inherit the full behavior of a class. I don't know how to do that yet. There's probably some way. Initializes with the default behavior. I don't know what that does. Okay, one sec. We want to check out what this mock behavior is. Strict causes the mock to always throw an exception for invocations that don't have a corresponding setup. Will never throw exceptions, returning default values when necessary. Okay. And then the default is just loose. So what you can do here is set this to strict, and that will cause it to throw an exception when we were previously invoking. Like if I were to set this to be a mock behavior of strict, I think this is valid. I should be able to run this and our test should fail. Yeah. So we're going to get an exception here that's saying invocation failed with mock behavior strict because it doesn't have a corresponding setup. So if you want something that's a little bit safer, that might be a way to do it. So you're not just trying to invoke things. I was kind of hoping that that would be like some way of like inheriting the stuff, but I guess it's not. And I don't see anything that does that. I'll probably do some digging and figure that out. I'm not familiar enough to know like what is and isn't supported. Just this. So I think that's probably all that it makes sense to do right now. So I will leave it here. But hopefully this is kind of interesting, and hopefully it's something that you're considering using. Testing is important. It saves you so much time especially with longer projects, like bigger projects. And especially when working with a team, it saves you a lot of time of having to like manually go and validate all of this behavior when you can just run tests. And so some of the most valuable tests are going to be unit tests. And some of the easiest ways to make those and kind of remove all the boundaries around things is with mocks, because you can just define all the boundaries like this. So that is, I guess, the pitch. But yeah, I will leave it here. If you have suggestions or feedback, or if you use mock and have features that you think I should be looking at, let me know, because I don't know what I should be looking at. It's been, yeah, I'm not familiar with it. So we're gonna leave it there. But yeah, that's it. So I guess until next time, see you, internet.